My mom and dad are both dancers. My dad, PL Raj, has been one of the biggest choreographers in Bollywood. So, Sholay, Sargam, Khaike Pan, Banaras, Yahoo, Jungli, Dawn, it's all done by my dad. I went to a school in Mount Abu called St. Mary's. And then in boarding school, you got Jimi Hendrix, you got Eric Clapton, you got the Beatles, you got ABBA, it's all coming at you. The Eagles, whatever it is. So you're hearing all this thing and that's becoming you. When I was leaving school, the principal asked everybody in the class, he says, okay guys, you're going to finish your 10th standard and you're going to go out into the big bad world. So what are you going to do? What do we want to do? So somebody said, oh, I want to be a doctor. And somebody says, oh, I'd like to be a chartered accountant. Or I'd like to be whatever. And it came to Leslie. And he says, so Leslie, what are you going to do? And I was so blank. I remember so blank. And I just said, I want to play the guitar. And the whole class laughed. And I couldn't see anything. So when I came back to Bombay, I didn't want to study. I didn't know. So I went to catering college so that my dad just felt, okay, my son's going to college. I was playing in a nightclub at the same time at Slip Disc in Bombay. And then I started playing at the Cafe Royal. After Cafe Royal, I moved more into the studio. And then, Louis Banks started calling me for a lot of his jingles. So I became his assistant, kind of. I was just the man Friday for all his musical things. So by the time I got my first break, it took me on a journey. I've done practically every brand in this country now. So I'd already been a guitar player from nothing to the top of the space. Then I started as a jingle composer from nothing to the top of the space. And then as a pop music producer, Pari Hu Main was my first foray into that, mass area. And from there, it just went into another zone. And then there's so many songs that I've done, Yaro Dosti, Pal. There was a song called Janam Samjha Karo, which was so big with Asha Bhosle, which actually, as an independent song, became so big, they made a movie called Janam Samjha Karo. Once it went to the top of that space, I said, let's do something else. What about playing live in front of the people instead of being in the studio? And that's where Hariharan and myself, we formed Colonial Cousins. And we said, hey, let's go live and let's play. And I think that's why we really formed Colonial Cousins, because we want to play live. We want to play for the audience. And I think we've always had, our best moments have always been live. For so many gigs we've done all over the world. And that's from 1996. So as a pop music producer, I think with Colonial Cousins, and that already, as a band, I'd already done a lot of stuff. And then MTV and Coke Studio, at Coca-Cola got to me and they said, will you do Coke Studio? And then I started Coke Studio. So I was lucky that I got to do, I got to do the first Coke Studio that ever happened, because I had the best performers. I had everybody from Shankar Mahadevan to Sunidhi Chauhan to KK, to all of them. And I had some fantastic, folk singers from all over the country. Chennapannu from the south, I had from Assam. So it was this great mix, and completely young talent who nobody had really heard so much about, who today are iconic. And you listen to Harshdeep Kaur and stuff, they're all these young artists about to bubble over. So it was a great mix. I could bring music to the next generation. Every kid in every college wanted to pick up a guitar, pick up drums, percussion, whatever, and play. And then there's so many bands formed after Coke Studio. It just makes you feel like, okay, so they're all listening and they all want to do their own kind of music. I'm not one of those guys who collects my awards. There are lots of awards I've got over a period of time, and I'm really thankful. But some of the really big ones are when we got the Billboard Awards in Las Vegas, and it was really interesting because I had Mariah Carey in the next room, and Celine Dion was performing with us on stage. It's like you're right there, and this was 1996, and so I got my Billboard Awards there in Las Vegas, Hari and me as Colonial Cousins, and then we got our MTV award in New York at Radio City Hall. So it's amazing, to be there. And I think one of the most wonderful things that happened to us is MTV Unplugged, because we are the only act out of India to have done the original MTV Unplugged in London. So I must tell you one little story about MTV Unplugged. It's really interesting because when we were recording our album, that was 1994, It was Björk's birthday. Björk is a very big singer internationally. She's from Iceland. And Talvin Singh was playing with her and he was playing with us. So she had a birthday. So we had a small club party for her. I mean, we all hung there. And then she was doing her MTV Unplugged. And this is 1994. And she, at that point, asked if we'd like to feature on her as a guest. Guess what? Hari and I looked at each other and said, no, we'll do our own MTV Unplugged. And this is for two guys who've got no album out, who've got nothing. Just a belief in that, what we are doing is great. And one day we'll do our own MTV Unplugged. And we didn't do it. And in 1996, we got the offer for MTV Unplugged. We just looked at each other and said, man, it's come. Unplugged has come to you because you waited. So it's a very magical moment for us. And I don't know if you can understand how we felt about it, but it doesn't happen to everybody like that. So we are blessed and we are lucky. So it's 2017 and, if you look at my career, you'll find that I've always done music for other people. So I'm creating songs for other singers. I still do that. I can still do it. I still do it. It's not a problem. So, but that's what I'm good at. That's what I've done. But what I've never done is done any music for the singer called Lesle Lewis. So now I'm creating a lot of music for the singer called Lesle Lewis, just like I did for those other pop singers then. And you got to wait and watch and see what Lesle Lewis is up to. And yeah, give it a like if you like it when it comes.